In this video, I will explain how to use the Firebase Firestore and how to store textual data in Firebase Firestore. In the previous video, I explained the process of sign in and sign up, and the UI of the activities were like this. This is the UI of sign in and this was the UI of sign up. Now in this example, this is the UI where we will enter the email and password, and there are two buttons, one for saving the data to Firebase Firestore and second reading the data from Firebase Firestore. So I have already designed the user interface to save the time, and I have already bind the code. So the first step in working with Firebase Firestore is to create the UI that I have already done for you. Now the second step is to go to Firebase dashboard, and there we need to activate the Cloud Firestore or Firebase Firestore functionality. Firebase Firestore is actually a database that we can use to store textual data, and this database is very efficient and it works offline as well. So as you can see, this is the user interface you will see for the first time if you haven't worked with Cloud Firestore ever before. Now click on that create database. Here you see the two options, the production mode and the testing mode. We will go for the testing mode as we are not working on a real application, so we will select the testing mode and finish up this window. Next you will see this interface. In this interface, the first thing that we have to do is we need to create the start collection. So collection is just like a directory, or you can say collection is just like a folder. Once we create the collection, give it any valid name. This valid name could be any alphanumeric value or simply the text. Let's say I give it the name my data. This will be the name of the collection. After giving the name to the collection, we can create a reference document or a document. We can auto generate the ID or we can give it a name. So let's say I give it my user defined name like bio data, and in the same interface I can assign some predefined values. I can create as many fields I want. So let's say I am creating the first field that will hold the email, and this is email. Here I can give any predefined value, let's say abc@example.com, although this value is not required. Let's create another field, and this field will contain the password. Usually the sensitive or the confidential information like the passwords are not stored in the databases like this, and these passwords are stored in the form of some hash or in a different format that cannot be interpreted easily by the user. So let's say the password is 123456, and now let's click on this save button. Once we click on this save button, the Firebase has already created a collection, a document, and within the document the data. So my data is a collection, and in that collection you can create as many documents as you want. Let's say I want to add another document, and I give it a name another doc, and in this document I can assign the structure. I can assign a different structure by creating different fields. Let's say in this I give it a name CL number. Here I can assign the type of the field. The type of the field can be number, a string, boolean, and so on. And the second is, let's say, name, and the third field might be, let's say, contact number. Okay, so let's try to save this, and this time you see in this document we don't have any predefined data. We can edit the data by clicking on that field. Let's say I give it a name, contact number, like any dummy number. Update, I give it name, let's say any name, and I give it the name or serial number 1 2 3 4, whatever you want. So this is a simple structure of Cloud Firestore. That first we create collection. Inside the collection we have number of documents, and each document has each document contain the data in the key value pair or in the key value pair form. Okay, we can create as many collections, we can create as many documents within a collection, and document contain the data in this format. So now we have to read this data, we have to fetch this data and display in our app, like in the email and password. So in our example we will be using this document, and we will read this abc at the rate of example.com and this password field, and we will show these values here in this email and password fields when we click on this read data. But if you want to save some data, then you will enter any email, any new password, and once you click on this save data button, the data will be updated in this document biodata. So let's delete this document. Actually it's not, it's deleting the collection. So let's delete this document, as we have to work with this biodata only. So this was a simple briefing, or this was a simple introduction of Firebase Cloud Store. Next step is to go to the tools menu and open the Firebase Assistant, and the step is same as we did in the Firebase authentication, that in Cloud Firestore, first of all you have to connect this app to the Firebase app that is created in the Firebase dashboard, and the second step is to add the Cloud Firestore dependencies or SDK to this project. So let's click on this, apply changes. The Cloud Firestore dependencies have been added successfully. Let's check by creating any Firebase Firestore instance. Firestore and yes, we can see the Firebase Firestore instance here. It means our Firebase Cloud Firestore dependencies have been added successfully. Okay, and give it any name, let's say F store, and we can initialize this instance in the onCreate method like this, fv store Firebase Firestore dot get instance. The code is same as we did in the previous video while we were working in the Firebase authentication. First of all, you must know that we cannot send the data separately from each field. Like let's say if you want to send the email or password, you cannot send the email separately or password separately. For this purpose, we can use any appropriate data structure from the Java language, as we are working in Java. So we will see what data structure is appropriate for this purpose. So in Java, the appropriate data structure for storing the data in the form of key value pair is hash map. In hash map we can store the data in the form of key and value pair. So in hash map you have to specify, first you have to specify the key type and the data type. So let's say give it a name my data, or you can say data, and new hash map string and string. Now in this hash map we have to put the data. So how do we put the data? Using that instance that we have created now, data dot put. First we have to assign the key. Now the question is, what should be the name of the key? So actually the name of the key will come from this is your key name email and this is your key name password, right? So this is key name email and this is the key name password. So we will use these two key names. So let's say type the key name email as it is a string, so we have to specify the key name in double quotes. Now we have to fetch the value of email, and we have to fetch the value of email from this instance of edit text. So edt email dot get text dot to string. We have to do the same thing for password. So Control D to copy and paste this line. Just change the values to password and always make sure that your key names that you specify here must match with the key names that are present here in the document. Like in the biodata document, this key name and this key name must match with the key names you are specifying in the hash map. After creating this data structure, after storing or fetching the data, next we have to create the collection. The natural process is, first of all, we will create the collection, then we will create the document, and under the document we have the data. So for creating the collection, the class is collection reference. Let's say give it name my collection, and using the Firebase Firestore class, using the get instant.collection, we can specify the collection name. Now the collection name must match this collection, my data. So this will be my data. The next thing we have to create is the document reference of the document. So the class is document reference. Let's say give it a name document ref or document, whatever name you want to give it to this instance. We have to use this collection reference to access the document. It means we have to use this collection reference, which is this collection, to access this biodata. So let's say my collection dot using document method, assign the name in the double quotes, and the name of the document is biodata. Yes, this is biodata. Once we have created the hash map, then we have created the collection, and then we have created the document, the next obvious step is to save the data on the Firebase Firestore. So using this document reference, because we have to store data in this document. Okay, so document reference dot, the method that we have to use is set data. Under the set data, we have to provide this instance of a hash map. This instance contain this data, okay, and it knows the key where it has to store the data. Okay, so give it the data hash map, and under this we have different listeners. This listener we are interested in is add on success listener. Under the success listener, there is one method on success, and we can add another listener, add on failure listener. So naturally, if this document, this data has been saved successfully, then it must show toast, or it must do something in this on success. So let's add a simple toast that will show a positive message. Let's say data saved. But if due to any other reason the data could not be saved, then show another toast message, data saving failed with this reason. Now the reason will come, let's say give it /n, and the reason will come from this variable e. Okay, so e dot get message. This e knows the reason why the data saving might fail. Now if we run the app, we try to save the data, but here one thing that you have to notice, that we are seeing the sign in screen, we are not seeing the dashboard screen. So the natural process is, once you enter the username and passwords. So logically, in real world scenario, before showing any dashboard or any profile activity, the sign in activity must show first. So here if we enter the email and password, if both email and password are correct, upon clicking the sign in, it must take us to the dashboard activity. But let's go to the code of sign in, and under this code we have to determine, after clicking the sign in button on sign in activity, it will only show the toast message, user is correct and signed in. Here we have to code to take us to the dashboard activity if email and passwords are correct. This will be the current activity, and we want to go to the dashboard activity. So this simple addition of line will change the behavior of our app. Rerun this app. The email that we had created was abc@example.com, and the password was simple 123456. So let's create on this sign in button and see what happens. So user is correct and signed in, and secondly, it has brought us to the dashboard activity. So here we have two fields and two buttons. So let's try to test our code for save button, save data. So let's say we want to add another email, let's say mwk@any email.com, and password should be any 12345678. When we click on the save button, it must save the data in Cloud Firestore. Let's try this, because on success it will show us the message data saved when we click on this btn save data. Okay, and if there was anything wrong, it will show us this message with the reason. Okay, so let's click on this save button and wait what happens. And yes, it is showing us that data has been saved. Now how we will verify the data has been saved? Let's go back to the Cloud Firestore, and here you can see the data has instantly been changed. Let's try to assign another data. Let's try to change this data. Let's say this time I give it the email xyz@xyz, and the password should be abcdefgh. Let's try to save this data. It is showing us and updating the data in real time. So this is the beauty of Cloud Firestore. So far now you have saw how to store the data in the Cloud Firestore. In the next session of the video, I will show you how to read data from the dashboard and show this data in any text field or anywhere in this UI. I will also show you the sign out process. The sign out process is very simple. Let's say if you want to sign out a user, then you simply create a button, and under the button, if you have the sign out button, in sign out process there is only one line of code, and that is fv store data simply. Oh sorry, we have to create the instance of Firebase authentication, not the Firebase Firestore, to sign user out. So Firebase auth, this is simply fv auth, initialize this fv auth with Firebase auth data get instance. Now we can use this instance to sign the user out. So fv auth data is sign out, and you can see this is a simple line that will sign out the user, and you can place this single line in any sign out button that you might place on the dashboard. This was a simple process how to write a code for the signing the user out from this dashboard, and you can also redirect the user when the user has signed out. You can redirect the user from dashboard to sign in activity. So this is a simple scenario. I hope you get this point.